the Declaration of Independence. The building should have an office part as well as a thinner glass spindle that extends upwards in which gardens are located. And the spire of the building will not be centered as usual, but sit on the side, again referring to the Statue of Liberty's side-mounted torch. But as much as the focus was understandably on the symbolic center pieces, the design competition was actually more of an order for architects to draw up concepts for how the space should be used. In other words, planning the street layout and where office buildings should stand and where the memorial site can be built. The mock-ups of specific buildings, such as Liebeskind's Garden Tower, only serve to offer the public a better idea of what it could become. At the same time, the mock-ups can also be understood as an indirect application by Daniel Libeskind to also be hired to design some of the buildings.
At a certain point you told one journalist, "I'm not here just to design the curves of the streets."
Well, I hope not. I hope that I get to design some buildings on this site, absolutely.
But you're having to fight your corner.
Well, nothing is given in life.
Larry Silverstein felt that this competition wasn't necessary. After all, he considered himself to be able to select architects on his own, and he has chosen the architect David Child from the architecture company Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. In the years that followed, there were countless compromises and changes to Liebeskind's plan, with only the basic layout remaining. While the original World Trade Center represented a large block within Manhattan, Liebeskind's plan partially restored the city's original grid as it was before the Twin Towers were built. Therefore, Greenwich Street and Fulton Street were rebuilt. Another central aspect of Liebeskind's design that prevailed was the idea of making the original site of the Twin Towers a memorial and a museum. However, where Liebeskind could not assert himself was with the design of the new One World Trade Center. Silverstein had commissioned David Childs to have his own design made, which looked like a 64-floor tall office tower, which is extended with an open-air structure in which an array of wind turbines will be located. In an attempt to compromise, the two architects then developed a joint proposal combining the different plans, creating a building that once again had the spire desired by Liebeskind.
After all the private negotiations and this enforced collaboration, will Freedom Tower end up looking as it does in the latest model?
If we rebuild the World Trade Center in the form of a skeleton, Freedom Tower, the terrorists win.
The compromise proposal failed, and Childs was commissioned to redesign the building again, without the ambitious open-air structure. The plan for the building, as it stands today, came about. A twisting glass monolith that would become the country's new tallest building. But in order to actually implement this plan, it was first necessary to facilitate a complex exchange of property rights and leases. Larry Silverstein was legally entitled to build new buildings at the place where the Twin Towers had once stood. However, since the memorial is to be built here, a swap deal was necessary. This resulted in a long-running dispute between the New York Port Authority and Silverstein over the development of Child's new high-rise building. Silverstein wanted to build it himself, but hardly had the means to handle the project together with all of the other buildings. Eventually, Silverstein ceded his rights to use the original Twin Tower site, as well as to build World Trade Center Tower 1, to the New York Port Authority, and provided part of his insurance proceeds for these projects. In return, he received the right to build 3 new office towers, World Trade Center 2, 3, and 4. For the design of the memorial site, a separate competition had been launched, with lots of innovative ideas. For example, one design suggested stairways along the outlines of the Twin Towers that lead visitors into an underground room filled with lights. Or another design that envisioned the creation of 2 memorial gardens where the towers originally stood. Of all the drafts, the proposal reflecting absence by Michael Arrett and Peter Walker was selected as the winner. 2 pools were built outlining the shape of the Twin Towers. On the inner walls of these pools, an artificial waterfall blocks out the noise of the city. Located along these pools are the names of the victims of the September 11 attacks and the victims of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. On this site, there is also a pavilion entrance to the museum, which is located underground. The lot adjacent to One World Trade Center is also owned by the New York Port Authority, and a performing arts center is under construction here. The building went through several financing difficulties and a change of architect, but is now scheduled for completion in 2023. Now let's look at the 3 lots that were part of the swap between the New York Port Authority and Silverstein. Developed by Silverstein, the 4 World Trade Center opened in 2013. It is a glass skyscraper that offers plenty of office space due to its large footprint. 3 World Trade Center also is an office tower. It is an additional 6 floors taller and was opened in 2018. 2 World Trade Center, a building that will significantly shape the city's skyline in the future due to its direct proximity to One World Trade Center, has not yet been built, and the plans for this building have changed several times in the past. An original plan by the design studio Foster & Partners envisioned a sloped roof consisting of 4 diamond-shaped elements that in their arrangement faces the memorial site. However, Silverstein Properties struggled to find enough tenants for the future building, which delayed the project. As part of discussions between Silverstein and 21st Century Fox and News Corp, who were considering relocating their headquarters to this new building, architecture studio Björk Ingels Group was commissioned to create a completely new design, now tailored to the needs of media corporations. But after this tenant deal ultimately did not materialize, Foster & Partners were again put back into the chair to produce yet another draft. This is the current plan, showing a building divided into different vertical elements and characterized by large green terraces. But it remains to be seen whether there is enough corresponding demand for office space so that the building can be constructed. It is a problem that also affects 5 World Trade Center, which is to be built in this area.